Hi guys, my name is Olya.
Hey guys, I'm Ina.
I'm Yana.
And you're listening to Kind of FOB podcast.
Let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome to our Ukraine episode. If you're watching on video, which hopefully we have that this time, we have a little Ukraine flag behind us. We're going to be talking about what it was like to grow up in Ukraine, some culture shocks we experienced going back, and some other funny memories. For those of you guys that don't know, the twins are actually my aunts. I'm their niece. That's a bit of a shock for most people.
Yes.
And we have a 9-year age gap. So they actually were able to spend some more time in Ukraine than I was before moving to America. Ina, what was it like growing up in Ukraine?
When I think back, I think of our cozy little home that our grandparents and our dad built, and I think of our backyard with all the fruits and vegetables that we were growing and all the farm animals we had.
Oh yeah, we had so many animals. We had a pig named Vaisa. We had a goat. We had a sheep. We had so many chickens.
We had a baran, which was a ram. His name was Borya.
Boris.
So I know you guys had a lot of farm animals. Didn't you guys cut off a chicken's head or something like that, Ina?
Oh my goodness, yes. So for dinner, usually my parents or our grandma would, go get a chicken from the backyard, cut it up and skin it, prep it for dinner. So Olya and I would watch how it's done. And once you cut the chicken's head off, it actually runs for a few seconds without its head. And like blood is squirting out, which is crazy.
So the phrase is real.
Yes, it is.
So I remember Olya and I think we were about 6, maybe 7.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to cut off a chicken's head for fun.
Just so we could see it running without its head.
Yeah, I remember grabbing at the por, which is like what?
An axe?
An axe, yeah. And one was holding, I think I was holding down the chicken and Olya just cut it up. Like, how dangerous is that? She could have cut off my hand, my arm.
No.
You guys must have really trusted each other.
I don't know.
It's a lot of faith in Olya.
I don't know what we did with the chicken after. Like, did we hide it? Did we go give it to grandma to cook it for dinner?
We probably hid it to
I
get rid of
feel-
the evidence. I don't know what we did, but
Olya, what about you? What comes to mind when thinking back to Ukraine?
the first thing that comes to my mind is us playing behind our backyard. You open and it was called, I don't know how to say this in English, like a garbage backyard.
It's a landfill. We love a good garbage backyard, though.
Okay, a landfill. So literally you open the gate behind the backyard and there's just a bunch of trash there and it was a huge hole.
We
Yeah.
love playing in there.
We always played there and it was, I don't know why that comes to my mind first, but that's where we spent most of our days. It was so much fun.
It was either that or the cemetery.
Oh, the cemetery.
We
We did
also
spend
lived-
a lot of time there.
Yeah, we lived really close by a cemetery, so we would just hang out by our grandpa.
Speaking of landfill, didn't you push a boy down because you did something bad?
We're gonna talk about that.
We might as well.
Oh my goodness. So I was probably 5 and we had a best friend named Valik. He was 4 and I decided to cut his bangs. And what do you do when you do something bad?
Get rid of the
You
evidence.
get rid of the evidence.
So you get rid of him?
I remember like we went to our, backyard and I opened the gate to the landfill area. And I don't know if I pushed him. I don't think I pushed him. I think I told him to hide there. I don't know.
Okay.
But then I was so scared. I ran to my room and I went to sleep. And for hours, everybody was looking for him.
This poor kid.
He's
This poor
not.
kid.
That's
He's
horrible.
fine. He was fine. But like I actually came to my mom and I was like, hey, he's in the career.
Yeah, the missing child.
That's horrible.
I know.
Moral of the story, I'm sure you learned your lesson.
I did.
Don't cut anybody's bangs. Oh, so another memory that comes up is we used to collect tarantulas.
Oh my goodness, that's right. Our dad taught us this one. You take a little string with gum and you see
Yeah.
little holes outside. So you know that there's going to be a spider or tarantula or something. So yeah, we would put that little string with gum in there.
Yeah,
and
you take like a stick and then you put like a string to it with gum, and you just put it in the hole,
You're
and it
fishing.
yeah, you're
fishing.
fishing for a tarantula, and it comes out, and we used to collect them.
You guys weren't scared of anything then, were you?
I don't think
I guess
so.
not. I'm terrified of spiders now.
I love these little life hacks, guys. If you ever want to collect some tarantulas, make a little fishing pole with string and gum, and you'll be good to go. Just find a hole.
So besides having all the farm animals, we also had lots of pets. We had dogs, cats, and rats. Our brother Andre decided to buy 2 rats,
Weren't
a
they
boy and a
mice?
girl.
Or was it
They were
rats?
rats. They were
Wait.
beautiful rats, though. They're pet rats. That's a
I don't
thing.
think there's a difference between rats on the street and pet rats.
Well, they
No,
were white.
they
and
were white,
cute.
yeah.
Little...
That's probably mice.
No, they were
Did it
rats.
have fat tails?
Red, big tails, but they were like big. They weren't mice for
Yeah,
sure.
that's rats.
Yeah, they were rats.
Ужас.
Pet, yeah. So these 2 rats decide to have babies. And this is close to before we moved to America. So we need to sell the house, and all these little babies escaped the cage. And I just remember they were like in all corners of the house. Our parents had to poison them so they could sell the
Yeah.
house.
There were probably hundreds.
I don't know how many, but
I
there
know
were
there
a
was a
lot of
lot.
them. Yeah.
Do you guys know how much we sold the house for?
$15,000 including furniture.
Isn't that crazy?
Insane.
And this was a beautiful big house. Like I can't even
How
imagine.
many bedrooms?
4?
At least
4
4. And
bedrooms?
then we had an upstairs that was just more like storage. And
That's
stuff.
where we played at as well.
Could you imagine nowadays buying a fully furnished house for $15,000? Not in this economy.
I remember after we sold the house, we moved in with our aunt.
Oh yeah.
And her house was probably over 100 years old. It was a small, cute little house, but you couldn't even put the furniture against the wall because the drywall,
like falls. I just remember touching the wall.
yeah.
It's just crumbling.
It just
Yeah.
crumbles. So
And I remember how I went to the kitchen, which was kind of like it was in the
it was a summer kitchen, like
Yeah.
outside.
I remember going to the kitchen and I was opening refrigerator and I got electroshocked.
Electrocuted?
I got electrocuted. And I remember I fell on the floor and I woke up and I was like, what just happened to me? And I realized I got electrocuted. And I told my grandma, I was like, Grandma, this is a couple days before we moved to America.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I remember opening the door to the bathroom outside and a freaking brivno, a brick fell on my head.
That's right. I remember that.
I was fine, but yeah, that was like my last memory of that
Did that
place.
happen on the same day for you guys?
I think it did.
I don't know. I mean, we were there probably just like a week. I don't
Yeah.
remember how long we were there for, so.
It sounds like Home Alone traps. You
Right?
know, when you have the brick above the door. Or
Who set
something.
up that trap for me?
Yeah, maybe it was Vadik. Payback for pushing him in the landfill.
But that's probably why that was your last memory.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
A brick fell on your head.
Yana, you don't remember much of Ukraine, I'm sure, because you were 1. But what was your first memory when we just moved to America?
My first memory was a traumatizing one because back in Ukraine, seatbelts and car seats aren't very normal. And I was just talking to my dad about this. They had just gotten their first 4-door salvage title Honda. And my
Honda
mom-
Accord.
My mom was driving to the store or something. I think this was a little bit later on. I was maybe 2. I was a toddler. And she had me in the back seat with no car seat. I don't think I had a seatbelt on either. And she's turning on the intersection and I fell out of the car and another car almost hit me. So I hit my head against the sidewalk and another lady pulls over. And this is the memory I have. I remember this woman picking me up and I remember my mom running after her to get me back.
Oh my gosh.
And so she was so freaked out about, she thought that I would be taken away from her. So she drove right to your guys' house and hid away. Wasn't she wanted?
She was wanted on the
Yeah.
news. There wasn't a picture of her, but they described her. I think there was a drawing of her. They
Mhm.
described her with like a tall girl or woman with black short hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, she did hide the car in our garage. This is where we lived in our homeless apartments
Love.
under Section 8. And she hid the car for probably a month. I don't know. But I think our neighbors or somebody saw the car and they called the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually, funny story that your dad, our brother, told us that when the police came, the parents weren't home. It was just our mom, and she was cooking in the kitchen, and she was holding a big knife. And then when she went to the door to open to see who it is, it was, police officers looking for you and your parents. But mom is standing there with this large knife, and they're like, "Ma'am, you need to put down the knife." She didn't understand what they're saying, probably, but yeah. And then your dad saw all these police and stuff. He came in checking. He checked up, was like, "What's going on?" And then there was this big case against your mom, your parents.
Yeah.
CPS was involved. But yeah, it was a really long case. But thank God, it was like a miracle that you weren't taken away.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big culture shock. I mean, imagine in Ukraine, there's no car seats. Their seatbelts are really not a thing, and which it should be because the way they drive.
Well, things are better now, but this was
Yeah.
20 years ago. So yeah.
A lot of people, too, in Ukraine, you're not as scared of the police because at least back then you would just bribe a police
You
officer.
give them $5 and then let you go.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that here. You go to jail.
You're like, officer,
Here's $5.
I have a TJ Maxx gift card.
Olya, do you remember when we just moved to America? We were taking a walk outside and we saw a mailbox that says U.S. mail.
Guys, so we are from a city called Ismail, okay? So when we saw the mailbox, it said U.S. mail. So to us, the E is how you spell
Yeah.
Ismail.
Like,
so
it's like letter I
Yeah.
in a Russian language. Yeah.
I was like, Ina, these people are from Ismail. So we knocked on their house and we were like, oh my gosh, these people are from Ismail. Some Americans opened the door and then they were talking to us in English, but we didn't understand. And I'm like, what?
That is so embarrassing. Now that you would do that.
They're not from Ismail?
I could just imagine opening the door, just two young girls speaking Russian or Ukrainian.
Привет, this is Ismaila?
I don't know what you're saying.
Oh my goodness. Olya, also, do you remember when we lived in our first apartments and
Homeless?
down the street somebody was throwing away пылесос, a vacuum,
my
and like a picture frame, right?
Yes.
So our dad called us. He's like, Ina, Olya, I'll give you like $1 or $2 if you guys go get this vacuum and this picture
We
frame.
were shocked that people threw away a pылесос
Yeah.
and like a painting, a vacuum.
Yeah.
It was just so uncommon. I mean, I don't even know if we had a pылесос in Ukraine. But our dad told us to go get it. So we walked there. We grabbed the vacuum and the painting.
We like ran and, gave it to our parents.
And we were
whatever.
so scared. We were like, are we stealing this or did somebody actually throw it away? Because it was next to a trash can, but it was just so shocking just to see that in the trash can. We're like, why would somebody throw that away?
Yeah, that's not what you'd find in the carrier.
Oh, for sure, you don't.
And our dad did check and it was working and stuff. So this is the crazy part. About 15, maybe 30 minutes later, there's police, there is firefighters, there's an ambulance that came to our house. And we're like, oh my goodness, this is because we took the pылесос.
We stole it.
So we hid it and we hid ourselves in the closet.
Criminals.
Yeah.
But really, it was sadly our neighbor above us like OD'd or something happened. I think her boyfriend or somebody called the police or the ambulance, but she was fine. But
We were so
scared.
I can't imagine.
That was funny.
Grandpa's hilarious. The fact that he was too scared to go himself. But it really is one man's trash is another man's treasure.
For
and
sure.
Grandpa loves to fix things up
Mhm.
all the
He-
time to this
does.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's brave enough to go find something
Yes, he
himself.
does. He's like, I found this, and he fixes anything you give him.
It's like his hobby now, you know?
Yeah.
He'll flip it too.
He'll flip it too.
I'll sell it.
In 2021, we had the opportunity to go back to Ukraine. I'm so grateful that we got to go back and we got to see the beautiful cities, and I got to see my grandparents and just our friends and family that we have there before the war. Now, it's not so easy to go back to Ukraine, but I experienced some culture shocks over there.
It was my favorite because I think growing up, you knew some of the things we would tell you, but you never actually experienced it.
Yeah, and I thought
So-
there's no way it's still like that.
Right. So let's go into the story how we arrived to Ukraine.
So when we landed in Odessa, Ukraine, it's about a 3-hour drive to Ismail. You have to go through this little shortcut in Moldova. I remember it was so creepy. There were like these guys standing with AK-47s.
No.
I was in shock, and we stopped for gas about halfway through, and we get some chibureki. And we've been in the car for about 2 hours, so I go up to the cashier lady, and I'm like, "Где у вас туалет?
Where's the bathroom?
Where's the bathroom?" And she points it out to me, and I walk over there. I open the door, and it looks like it's all done. It's tiled, it's a bathroom, and then there's just a hole in the floor. It looks like a flushable hole, but if that makes sense. Like, there's a pan.
This was an upgraded hole.
Yeah, this wasn't a dirt hole. But in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this is a spot for the toilet. It's missing. So I go back out there, and I'm like, "Hi, где у вас унитаз?"
And do you remember there was a wedding party at this gas
Yeah,
station?
there's a wedding
It was a nice
reception.
gas station.
Yeah.
It's like a mini restaurant gas station.
Yeah.
So I'm standing about to pay for the chibureki, and I hear Yana saying, "Где у вас унитаз?" which means, "Where's your toilet?" And I just start laughing. I'm like, oh no. So I go with her to the bathroom, and then I see the hole. And I'm like, Yana, this is why you Slav squat. And
Yeah.
she's like, what do you mean? Am I supposed to sit on here? Like, how does this work?
To us, it's so normal because that's how we grew up. We had an outhouse bathroom
With a
so-
hole.
With a hole. So actually, inside the house, we did have a toilet, but it was like a
Special
special.
occasion.
What do you mean special occasion? Like on Christmas you get to poop in the toilet? What warranted you being able to use the toilet?
So in the summertime, we weren't allowed to use it because we didn't have water.
Right.
And then in the wintertime, we were able to use it, but also kind of like special.
we didn't want to waste water.
Exactly. So at night, if like it's an emergency, we can use the toilet.
Yeah,
Other
it's
than that, you
closer.
go to the hole.
Okay, I think toilet paper was also a special occasion inside the house.
Because we use newspapers.
Yeah, we use a newspaper outside.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've ran out of toilet paper before, but never newspaper.
Newspaper.
Yes,
yeah.
newspaper.
Wow.
So if you were being good that day, you could use a toilet or a toilet paper.
I mean, that makes sense. Even in Europe now, public restrooms aren't really a thing, and if they are, they're paid.
They're
And you have to
paid.
pay for toilet paper.
Mhm.
Yes, I remember going to visit. This was 10 years ago, and we were also at a gas station, and I remember we had to pay. And she pretty much asks you, are you going number 1 or 2? And she gives you a couple slices of the paper.
Slices.
Couple.
Can I get 5 slices of toilet paper, please?
Yeah, well, that's how it was.
I know we laugh about this, but this is genuinely how people live, and it's
Mhm.
normal to
It
them.
is normal.
And we take that for granted here in the US because there are public restrooms everywhere. You
Mhm.
could pull up into any gas station and you're
Yeah.
good to go. And, I don't think I've ever been to anyone's house that didn't have a toilet.
I don't think so either. But honestly, I think we are so spoiled and
Mhm.
so blessed to be here because
Yeah.
we really do have access to everything.
Yeah.
Even like a dishwasher, that was not even a thing back there, back in Ukraine. We would just boil water in like a little tub, and that's how you wash the dishes.
And that's how you take we took a shower in the summertime outside. We had an outside shower. But inside, I think our mom would just like boil water and
That's how
bathe
we
us
would-
like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then a washer and dryer, no, that was not a thing. My mom
Hand wash.
hand washed everything by hand, and then you hang everything with these little clips,
Wow.
and that's how everything is dried.
I hate laundry so much now. I can't imagine how much
Remember-
longer laundry would have taken. And you have a tiny little washing machine in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah. It's
Yes.
in Europe. I think most of the washing machines are in the kitchen.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yana, what other culture shocking things do you remember?
I remember just trying to small talk with people or smile at people.
That is not a thing.
I walked up to this lady at the bazaar and I'm like, hi, how are you doing? You know, and my grandma's giving me this look like, stop talking. And this lady is looking at me like I'm a psychopath. And then my grandma pulls me aside. She's like, you don't do that here. She thinks she's supposed to know you or something. Why are you talking to her? And I'm like, okay. And everyone's just walking around, no smile.
Everybody's so serious.
We even did a photo shoot.
There was like a photographer. I think they asked us if we want to do a photo. We're like, hey, let's just go do a photo shoot with our aunt and uncle. We go into like some underground basement and we do this photo, and we're just so serious.
I know
in there.
everyone's like,
Well, we were serious for
a
a
joke,
purpose
but
because it was
that's because
funny.
you look at all the people, all the portraits that are hanging, and everybody's just so serious.
even
No
wedding
smile.
photos.
Yeah.
Looking back at grandparents' wedding photos and
Yeah.
great grandparents, everyone's just serious. It's like you would you'd think
Smiling
at
is
your
frowned
wedding,
upon.
you'd be like in love, happy, but nope.
No smiling there.
We were getting hustled there. People can tell we are already from America because when we talk in Russian, our accents are coming out, especially Yana.
Yeah, mine is the worst.
Sometimes I'd be like, Yana, stop talking.
They know.
Yeah, they'd change the price on something from grivin to American dollars, which means it's times 27 the price.
Yeah, there was like a shirt that I was looking at, and right before that, we were talking in English. So I see this lady who's the cashier there, and I look at this shirt, and it was 300 grivin, which is like, I don't know, $5-6 maybe.
Maybe 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So I was asking her, I was like, this is 300 grivin, right? And she looks at me and she's like,
300.
Нет, долларов. And I'm like, what?
$300?
It's $300 from a bazaar?
What? I don't think this is Gucci.
I know. That was funny. Also, another thing is pedestrians.
Pedestrians.
Yeah.
They don't have the right way.
The right of way. Yeah.
The right way, Olya.
The
Right away. So if you're walking, you're going to get hit. Like, you got to know you have to stop, or else they'll run you over.
It's
and
your
it's going to be
fault.
your fault.
Yeah.
Here, imagine that happening here.
And that lady, once she got, I mean, she didn't get hit bad. Like,
Yeah.
they like touched her or whatever. But she's apologizing to the
And
driver.
the guy is yelling at her.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh. The funny thing is, I was recording at that point, and I got it all on video. And
Yeah.
she got hit by a car, and she was like, "Простите." And I'm like, what? That was crazy.
That was crazy. Also, just walking around, I would see that a lot of the men are wearing purses.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
That's like most
the
of
man
Europe,
bag,
though.
yeah.
They have a man bag.
I
it's
love
like
that.
like a satchel or a fanny pack. Yeah.
Mhm.
Convenient.
I mean, purses are so convenient.
Right.
I feel like men should get
why
to
not
have
have one?
that convenience as well. I remember we went to a coffee shop and I was so excited to order an iced latte.
Mhm.
And I get their холодный latte, which means cold. And I'm
Cold
like,
latte.
okay, that means iced latte
Mhm.
because it's hot or cold, you know? And it is lukewarm milk.
Yeah, I think we
I think they
asked
get
for ice
shocked.
and maybe they gave us one ice cube. They were like, why do you need an ice cube?
For sure.
Remember we were taking a walk at the park and there was like this party going on at like 12 during the day and they're playing on their garmoshka.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
accordion.
And they're just singing. I'm like, this is the life.
I
I
know.
loved to see that. I'm like, what a fun party. We should be with them.
And there was grandmas who were selling sunflower seeds.
Just like on the streets. I used to love that when we were little. We would just like go buy some and they would wrap it in newspaper. Yeah.
The newspaper was used for a lot of things, not just the toilet.
We
Oh,
had such amazing experience though. Like
The
food.
food was amazing. And the beauty industry there. First of all, can we talk about the woman there? Anywhere you
Gorgeous.
go, these girls are stunning. They look like they're photoshopped.
yeah.
They were just walking around, and you go to these nice restaurants, and these girls just come in and they just look so bougie.
Like so put together, even like women just taking their kids out on a walk or with a stroller. She's got her perfect hair, makeup, or wearing even her little heels. I'm like, this is amazing. This
Yeah.
isn't America for you where you go to Walmart and see all the crazy kind of things.
I actually saw a TikTok today and it was a Russian woman. I can't remember her name, but she was saying, I just curled my hair to go to the beach. And
I would
she's
do
like,
that.
this is what we do.
Respect, honestly.
Women should be taking care of themselves. I'm
Y-
all for that.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed. And the beauty treatments over there are amazing. Russian manicures are incredible.
I had a $12 manicure and it was like the best thing I ever got.
I know we're laughing about all these stories, how we grew up, but honestly, I would not trade anything, change anything.
I wouldn't change anything about it.
The
Absolutely.
people are such hard workers there, and they're incredible, especially with everything going on now. It's absolutely heartbreaking. I'm so thankful that we did get to visit our country a couple years ago and we saw everybody, because right now our hometown, even the parks that we used to go on Sundays, Marvagzal, though it got blown up recently, and it is just so, so sad to see that people are living like this and they're hiding in shelters. And right now, when they hear the sirens, they're used to it.
It's
And
so
it's
sad.
so
It's like it's
sad.
their new normal. You
Yeah.
Yeah, that's their reality. And I'm so grateful to get to live in America and I get
Mhm.
to see how blessed we are to be here because I think a lot of people don't understand. I really had such a big perspective shift being able to go back and see, oh, this is how life is like over here, and we have so many more opportunities in this country.
Mhm.
And the way that we live, even the poorest in America, it's like we have it so much easier.
Absolutely. Yeah.
hmm On a positive note, in honor of Ukraine for this episode, we're going to do a Ukrainian word of the week. And the word of the week is kuhayu.
Yana, you're not even saying it right.
How do you say it right?
It's kohayu.
Kuhayu?
That means
Kohayu.
love. Like yatabe kohayu. Like,
Yatabe kuhayu?
I think it's such a beautiful word.
I agree.
I think
And
it's
that means
beautiful.
I love you.
No, well, yatebe kuhaya, right? We don't speak good Ukrainian, actually.
I know, unfortunately.
Even though we grew up in Ukraine, we actually don't really speak Ukrainian. Olya speaks it better than I do because your in-laws and her husband, he speaks fluent Ukrainian.
Yeah, I
but-
really wish I spoke better Ukrainian.
But yeah, I do love the word kohayo. I think it's beautiful.
Kohayu? It sounds like
Kohayu,
Ohio with a K.
Yana.
Kohayu? Kohayu.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Also, please follow us on Kind of FOB podcast.
On
and
Instagram.
yes, and if you guys have any stories growing up in Ukraine or wherever you grew up, please share with us. We would love to read some funny stories or just some fun memories that you guys have. So please write those in, and
My vas kohaim.
My was kohayo.